Cinema Vino.
Knights in white satin.
Ahoy!
This is part 2 of our presidential series. Is that Nudie Blues? They sing Knights in White Satin. Is that right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is the second term of the series?
It is. Yeah, this is the second 4 more years. Cinema Vino.
4 more years.
4 more beers.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that should be the tagline.
4 more
That should be
beers.
the tagline.
That's our hashtag.
Yes. Presidential series, hashtag 4 more beers.
What a great idea.
Good job.
Great minds.
Good job.
What did I do?
We're looking at Frost Nixon this time, 2008 release. So changing gears from JFK a little bit. This is also has the feel of a thriller. This also has the feel of a, investigative film.
Switching over to JFK's rival.
Yeah,
in fact,
exactly. Heated rival. A lot of dislike between the two of them. So got Sean Jordan.
Hi.
Travis Bud. T-Bud. My name's Todd Wofford.
Hey.
And yeah, so we are going to drink Chateau Graysac this time. Richard Nixon was a big fan of Bordeaux.
I thought you were going to say he had a gray sack. Richard Nixon was an alcoholic, therefore he had a gray sack.
Mm-hmm. That had kind of a Norm Macdonald sound to it. I like that. It's like, so you heard about Richard Nixon. Had a bit of a gray sack.
Yeah, heard about this? Richard Nixon? Do you know him? Do you know Richard Nixon? He had a gray sack.
By God.
By God.
So yeah, he was a big fan of Bordeaux. So this is a Bordeaux that's primarily Merlot. It's about 2/3 Merlot, and then the remainder is Cabernet Franc. So
we should have paired this with cheeseburgers.
Yeah,
it would go great with a cheeseburger.
Cheeseburgers.
Do you like cheeseburgers?
So this is about a $40
Doing
Bordeaux.
Fornicating?
Did you fornicate?
We're gonna have to work on our Richard Nixon.
We've got some time. We've got some time to work on it.
I'm sad JFK we didn't get to bust out any John F. Kennedy.
Wasn't really in the movie.
I know, just a little bit at the beginning, but yeah, it was it's unusual that it's a presidential movie where there's not a lot of the actual president in the movie. So
well.
Yeah, this is about $40. This is a special occasion wine. This is a splurge. It's a 2018, so this is probably just getting to its, peak drinking.
Ooh.
So it's about 6 years old. This one could have some age to it. You could put this aside for 5 or plus years.
You could pair this with like Raisin Cane's. It would go good with cane sauce.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was vamping for you, Todd.
Thank you.
So this is a little Frenchy boy?
It is.
French wine?
So it's funny because, JFK was into like Dom Perignon, Richard
Marilyn
Nixon.
Monroe.
Is champagne guy.
Yeah. And Richard Nixon was into...
He liked his ladies.
Yeah. The first growth Bordeaux, so both presidents had expensive taste.
Nixon did not like his ladies. He was
a faithful
notoriously faithful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that is good. I mean, that needs to open up. So if you guys are going to do a Chateau Graysac or anything like this, I would let it like decant.
Breathe. Decant.
This could use some breathing. This is a little bit tight coming right out of the bottle.
Yeah, I was going to say that first sip was a little,
it's got a
little tight, a little chalky.
Like if you want to sound nerdy, you just say it's got some grip. This has got some grip to it.
It does have some grip.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good description.
That sounds dirty.
This needs
Gorilla grip.
This needs,
don't run in the same circles I do, I guess.
Anyway,
that's the problem is we do run in the same circles.
Yeah.
Taylor would find that hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, but
What is happening?
What is that? But yeah, Taylor's deep in the jungle right now. So, and he's out of range of sat phones. Yeah, he is. He is somewhere deep in the Andes Mountains right now. So
all he owes him an apology.
You ever see Predator where he's just in the middle of the woods and he's having to paint his face and that's him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, I mean, he's just kind of doing a scavenger hunt. He's doing geocaching, so he's got a little bit off course.
I've never understood that.
I never have.
Ended up in Cambodia.
Yeah, it's weird, hundreds of miles up the river. So
they said we weren't supposed to be in Laos.
So Frost Nixon, this was released December 5th, 2008. So now 16 years ago. This grossed $27 million.
16 years ago?
16 years ago. Yeah, I remember.
Initially, it was a flop.
Yeah, there you go. $27 million against a $25 million budget.
Yeah, but it was nominated for 8 Academy Awards.
It was. It was nominated for 5 Academy Awards.
Shit. Okay.
Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and some other stuff. But Frank Langella was nominated for playing Richard Nixon. This was based on Peter Morgan's stage play. He also wrote the script. And director Ron Howard brings over the stars of that play, Michael Sheen and Frank Langella, from Broadway or the West End or wherever this was, to the screen. So, yeah. The story is drawn from real events, even though it does take quite a bit of dramatic license. Not nearly as much as JFK, but there is some dramatic license in here. Supposedly Nixon had a tendency to call people drunkenly in the middle of the night, but he never did that.
Oh, he was a raging alcoholic.
Yeah.
Todd, you do the same thing.
Still, I'm gonna do that later tonight. So, you know,
you just talk about your life, and it's great to hear about your day for sure.
Keep those phones on vibrate. We'll talk about cheeseburgers.
Sean's hog.
Do you like cheeseburgers?
Do you like Sean's hog? Does it do something for you? Once you pop, you can't stop. It's a Pringles can.
Elvis, did you fornicate?
This is Hoggate 2024.
When the president talks about Sean's hog, it's not illegal.
LBJ, he was the one who always talked about his penis and whipped it out.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, there you go.
He sexually harassed a lot of people.
He was nasty. He liked to brag that he had sex with more women than JFK did. He liked to brag that he was a tomcat.
Oh, so he lived to be older, so he's probably right.
And ironically, he did not. He looked older. So when he passed away, believe it or not, he was
younger than JFK was when he died?
No, but he was older than JFK, but he was like in his early 60s, like 10 years later. So he was in his early 50s when JFK was assassinated.
Right.
So he was a little bit older, but he looked much older.
Yeah.
Ridden hard and put away what?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking.
Run that one by me again?
Ridden hard and put away what?
Oh, okay.
Never heard that?
Crusty?
No, I did hear it. I just didn't hear what all the words were.
No. Was it a little bit slurred?
A little slurry.
Uh-huh.
Ridden hard.
Kirk was okay.
Just like Nixon.
Sheen plays interviewer David Frost. Langella is disgraced President Richard Nixon. In the aftermath of Nixon's resignation from office, a massive, comprehensive series of interviews are scheduled, giving both men something to prove. David Frost wants to prove that he is a heavyweight interviewer to be taken seriously. Richard Nixon wants to prove that he basically wants to rehabilitate himself and prove that he was unfairly driven out of office. He
was persecuted.
Yeah.
No?
And that
the victim.
The good things about him greatly outweigh the bad. He wants to basically give people a sense of nostalgia of like Yeah,
the Vietnam War went swimmingly for him. His legacy is tremendous.
And it's like his attempt to put spin. One of the things he was impeached for was bombing Cambodia. Or was going to be impeached for, was bombing Cambodia. And he went, well, we're going in there to get the guns and keep them out of the... He's trying to rationalize everything he did.
Well, sure. Yeah. Every president tries to rationalize their war crimes.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically, and I don't want to draw too many parallels now, but it's like you want to hear people be held accountable for the thing that they've done. You want to hear people like publicly be...
Well, and that was one of the biggest issues is that as soon as Ford got in office, the first thing he did was he pardoned Nixon for any wrongdoing. Because he didn't want to set a precedent of, we can't be, going after politicians for political reasons.
Yeah. And that is a dangerous thing to, that is a slippery slope, not justifying what Ford did, but there are implications to that of like, somebody leaves office. Well, I mean, you get into that kind of third world country thing of like, well, somebody gets out of office, you just throw them in jail, or make up some reason to put them away.
Okay, well, stop committing crimes. You won't go to jail.
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
Stop breaking the law,
asshole.
Yeah. It's amazing how much that quote pops up in my head, regularly. So
fuck around and find out.
So yeah, you got some other people in the movie. You got Oliver Platt and Sam Rockwell, and
I would do dirty things to Oliver Platt. I love that man.
Yeah.
Lake Placid, we haven't watched it yet.
I don't think that sentence has ever been spoken in humanity.
Well, you're bullshit. Wrong, man.
And I'm not saying Oliver Platt's not a delightful human being,
Oliver
but
Platt should deserve to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know anyone in this room who would not gladly balance Oliver Platt like by his crotch on the base of their chin in the air. Like, I mean, tell me either one of you would not do it. I will leave this table right now.
I'd probably do it.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay.
I would need to probably do some training first, get my balance going,
Look for the legs, not the back.
That's why you need him to practice.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Anyway, Oliver Platt's great.
Yeah. So, and then Matthew McFadden, who would later be in Succession, he plays the TV producer who helps kind of steer David Frost throughout the situation. He helps he's kind of the conscience and the motivator of David Frost.
He's the, well-meaning producer. He's the lackey, buddy, best friend.
Yeah. And then Kevin Bacon is Nixon's, post-resignation chief of staff.
Jack Brennan.
Yeah. Who basically is a fierce protector of Nixon's legacy and is loyal and wants to see him not go down further in flames.
Yeah. And Toby Jones shows up
as Swifty Lazar. Yeah, Swifty Lazar, yeah. Famous Hollywood lawyer or agent who had quite a few famous clientele. So he was a notorious, I don't know what the word would be, not bully, but like he was something else. Yeah. Yeah. He was something else behind the scenes. So yeah, basically the movie is like a metaphor. There's a lot of boxing metaphors set up in this movie of them, you see them going to their corner guys talking after the
12
interviews.
rounds.
Yeah.
12 interviews.
And it's like, their interviews get interrupted by the bell. Oh, that's time. We got to get up, and then they get up and go and talk and
they go punch for punch.
And then, oh, you were a worthy adversary. They it's like the two fighters coming together after the fight and,
I prefer Rocky IV.
But I think it was Ron Howard, one of the producers said this is
like Rocky III better.
Clubber Lang.
Yeah.
Clubber Lang fan.
Yeah. Even two. The first four are just delightful.
Yeah. Yeah.
First four Rockies.
They're all great movies.
Yeah. I wasn't a big Five fan, but then even the Creed movies are decent.
I never saw
I haven't seen any of those.
Oh, you got to see Creed. At least the first one.
Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah. It's worth checking out. But getting off subject here. So had either of you guys seen this movie before?
No. But I feel like this movie I'd seen clips of, bits and pieces. Like I feel like this is one that was on TV a lot.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see what you guys thought of it.
I give it a 7. It wasn't my bag. I was kind of hoping for more. Like it's well done. And I love Frank Langella. And Michael Sheen did a great job too, but I don't know. It didn't, I could feel the buildup and how important it all was. And that, during some of the interviews, Michael Sheen would leave and they'd be like, oh, we need more out of you. We need more. And he's like, I got to go. I got to pay for this thing. I'm still working in the background.
Yeah.
And just the whole time, I didn't have the, the drive. I didn't really feel as much of like the panic, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're like the stakes.
You didn't feel the conflict.
I didn't feel the stakes were high enough. I was like, okay, well, this is, it just didn't quite grab me.
And I'll be curious to see what you guys say for this. And then when we watch All the President's Men, which is coming at this situation from a different angle. I don't know if either of you guys have seen that movie before, but it's coming at it from the angle of Woodward and Bernstein, who literally took down Nixon. So I'll be curious because obviously the stakes in that were much higher for those two guys. So I'll be curious to see what you think about that one. Again, same situation, but from a different side.
I enjoyed this one because it was a much easier watch than JFK.
Yeah, this was a much more casual romp compared to the JFK that was like a drinking from a fire hose of conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Great metaphor.
Thank you.
But I enjoyed it. It's I would say, I would recommend it to people to watch, but it just didn't trip my trigger as much as JFK.
Yeah, I feel like the Nixon, like the real conflict with Nixon was when he was in office. Mm-hmm. And this is very much like a holding him accountable after office, like, gotcha.
It's an epilogue.
Kind of. Yeah, it feels more like an epilogue. So the stakes are lower.
Mm-hmm.
I think the conflict of it is really more interpersonal. It would be great as a stage play. Now that you say that it was a stage play, I feel like this would be a great stage show.
What they call a two-hander.
Yeah, it's just like you see like these two acts kind of going on side by side. Just,
Not what Travis would call a two-hander.
No, excuse me. Sean and his hog definitely call it a two-hander.
that's right.
I'm sorry, Sean's mom. This is.
I'm not.
I just think this would be a really good stage play, but I feel like on a screen adaptation, it falls a little flat just because there are moments of just like the stakes. Yeah, like you say, the stakes just don't feel as high.
Yeah. So what would you give it?
I'd give this like a 7. I think it's a fine movie. I'd enjoy it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great cast, great acting.
Mm-hmm.
The Nixon impersonation is tremendous.
Yeah.
I think it really captures a lot of the weird elements of Nixon because he was a weird dude.
He was.
He was an alcoholic. I feel like they didn't really capture that as much in this movie.
Langella is much taller than the actual Nixon.
Was Nixon short? Was he?
Well, he wasn't short. He was about 6 feet tall, but Frank Langella is about 6'4".
Okay.
So he is quite a bit taller.
Nixon wasn't like an imposing character.
No,
but I mean, he was a very politically savvy guy. Like he knows how to play
very bright
a situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that came through a lot in this movie. I think it was just a less of a referendum on Nixon and more of like this was a cool event in history that happened that sort of came out as a consequence of like a cooler event in history.
Yeah.
So as movies go, I think it was fine.
Yeah.
But I think it fell a little flat, toward the end.
So you're 7.
Yeah, 7.
This actually, it made me want to watch Masters of the Universe with Frank Langella as Skeletor.
Oh.
Which we still need to watch that because he's the best part of this.
This would be a nice double feature.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, along with Tremors because Kevin Bacon's in it too.
Mm-hmm.
This did feel like a good node of the Kevin Bacon 6 Degrees of Separation movie. This and JFK.
Yeah.
Both.
You could connect anybody in Hollywood between these two movies.
Yeah.
With Kevin Bacon. So just from JFK alone,
And all he did in this movie was just kind of stand there and be imposing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great.
To be severe. Yeah. I'd give it an 8. I'm a little bit above. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I'm a sucker for.
Justify your answer.
It might just be my historical. I'm a history nerd. I'm a presidential nerd. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So this will be a very enjoyable series for me watching all these movies.
Have you listened to Bagman? It's a podcast series. It focuses a little bit more on Spiro Agnew.
Ooh.
Like his original VP, because I don't know if you know, Spiro Agnew was his first VP, and then his second term he swapped him with
Gerald Ford,
presumably because Gerald Ford. There were a lot of issues with Spiro Agnew. He was a very corrupt dude, taking a lot of cash on the side. So they had to get Spiro Agnew out of the way before they could impeach Nixon. And Ford kind of came in as like a lackey for the second term as the VP.
Yeah.
As like an easy fall guy because he was just kind of a doofus.
Poor guy. And
Had to be president.
And he said that if he could, he would pardon Nixon all over again. So even though it cost him another term.
Okay. Well, how'd that work out for him?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
But yeah, Bagman. It's a really good podcast series by, I'm blanking, but listen to it.
Yeah.
Fun. I'll send it to you.
You know what I realized? I know this would be better on the JFK podcast, but Martin Sheen did the voiceover at the beginning of JFK.
He did.
So I kept thinking that we would see him at some point. Did they just get him because was the West Wing out at that time?
I think it was probably peak West Wing, wasn't it?
It was a long time before West Wing.
Yeah. Okay.
Because West Wing was 99 when it came out.
So I wonder why they got Martin Sheen just for a voiceover.
He's a great voice.
Could hear him and recognize him, but not.
He's a very presidential voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd vote for him.
And he played JFK a long time ago in a movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
did he?
Mm-hmm.
So why do you've got an 8 on this?
I do. And it just might be my
Big Michael Fiend fan?
I love
Michael
Fiend.
Sheen fan?
Michael Fiend fan?
I'm a fiend.
James Judy Dench.
You're a Michael Fiend?
Yeah.
That's an excellent name for like Lady Gaga has her little monsters.
He's got the fiend.
Michael Sheen.
James Judy Dench.
The Sheen Fiends. Yeah.
Sheen Fiends.
Yeah.
That's what his fan club calls them.
Mm-hmm. This might be for me, like also just like watching it for the third time. I watched it 3 times, and it might be like being able to evaluate after several times. That's a luxury of reviewing other movies I don't always have. You have to watch them one time. And sometimes I end up mentioning that in reviews of like, this may get better later, but right now it's 3 out of 5 or whatever.
Like fine wine. Sometimes you have to let it open up.
Mm-hmm, exactly. It might need a little air. And this one has benefited from several viewings. I've appreciated it more every time. And I especially, like you say, the 2 strong performances in the middle of it. This is basically a 2-hand play. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy you got 2 strong core performances. It's hard to beat.
And I'm a big, Rebecca Hall fan. She was the love interest for Michael Sheen in this.
Caroline Cushing.
Yeah. But she hadn't been in much. Well, she was in the most recent King Kong Godzilla ones. I don't love them.
Yeah.
In that, but
bless her heart.
Yeah.
Can I give you a word of advice? You marry her.
You done much fornicating? You have any?
You don't pay taxes in Monaco.
Do you have any Polaroids of her feet?
Yeah. And I told this to my wife watching it. It was like Nixon has been lampooned so many times by so many people over the years. He's one of the most like impersonated presidents ever. It would be tough to do a serious dramatic performance of Nixon and pull it off.
True. Yeah.
And
without coming off as cartoonish.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys ever saw Anthony Hopkins and Oliver Stone's Nixon.
No.
And that was almost, I debated doing that one or this one. I didn't want to do 2 Oliver Stone movies in a row. So we did Frost Nixon instead. But Anthony Hopkins also is an excellent Richard Nixon. So, and it's actually a very sympathetic Richard Nixon. So there's that.
I'm not a crook.
Yeah. Man, that's rough. That's his enduring quote.
Well, I mean, I feel like Futurama did such a good job of doing Nixon. That's the Nixon that sticks in my head.
Yeah. Well, and he shows up so many times in The Simpsons too. It's like, whenever Homer goes to college and steals the pig from the rival school, and it turns out the pig was good friends with Richard Nixon. He's like, you'll pay for this. Don't think you won't pay. Just ridiculous.
Didn't George H.W. Bush move in across the street from Simpsons?
I believe so.
The Simpsons at one point?
Because that was a dig at him, because during his campaign, he said America needs more families like the Waltons and less families like the Simpsons. So, yeah, they took it back.
Dick move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's the real winner now?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, 40 something odd years, 35 years later?
Yeah. How many seasons have they had?
I believe
too many.
Yeah.
HW only got what? 1 season?
Yeah.
So fuck him.
Exactly. And then Oliver Stone did another movie, President's Movie W, that came out in 2008. So not great. So,
yeah.
With Josh Brolin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. And then James Cromwell as George H.W. Bush. So interesting, but it's almost comedic. So it can't match his other movies. Like
which president do you think will come out with a movie for next?
Just watching the situation, everything that's unfolding right now in 2024. I told my wife there's going to be movies after movies made about this stuff.
Who is going to play Trump?
Oh, it's got to be Alec Baldwin.
Josh Gad.
Josh Gad. Oh man! Again, it'll be the same deal as Nixon, where it's like it'll have to somehow play him seriously without evolving into.
I was going to say, I mean,
is Louis Anderson still with us?
No, he's departed.
Rosie O'Donnell.
That would be ironic.
that would be the ultimate fuck you.
Oh, what was the Bob Dylan thing where like several different people played Bob Dylan, like Kate Blanchett?
Ooh.
What if they just had several different
I'm not there.
Play? Yeah.
And maybe including Kate Blanchett, get her wig.
Sure.
They were all of
Ben Affleck. Yeah. Ben Affleck plays the shark.
He doesn't have anything else going on.
But they were all of them deceived. Ooh. But anyway, this has been another episode of Cinema Vino talking about Frost Nixon. 7 out of 10 for you guys, 8 out of 10 for me. So thumbs up all around, I would say.
Yeah. Worth watching.
But I believe our next one's All the President's Men. I think I have to go back and check the schedule. But
double dipping on the Nixon though.
Yeah.
That's streaming?
I believe so. If not, I've got it right over there. So we can borrow it. So no, actually I take that back. It's on Pluto.
Pluto? What the fuck is Pluto?
It's one of those streaming things. We found it there. So
I can't keep up with them.
So it might be that might be the IMDb streaming thing.
Okay.
So anyway,
all right,
we'll talk about that in the future. Great movies, Drunker, talk about cheeseburgers.
Oh,
Fornicating.
did you fornicate?
But yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Sean Jordan.
Oh, I'm not a crook.
Don't think you won't pay. But yeah, we'll see you guys.
Did you save the com rack? You didn't say my name. I was waiting for it. Travis Budd.
Travis Budd.
Signing off.
All right. Arrivederci.